Let's go on.
Here we go.
Привет, Хилл.
Привет, Phil.
Привет, Хилл. У меня к тебе один вопрос.
Hello, Phil. I have one question for you. What happened in 83 and in the year of 83? Why did you leave the church? What particular circumstances? What happened just before that?
Shall I stop it?
Привет, Хилл. У меня
Да?
такой вопрос.
He's
Что
repeating
произошло в
here.
83
What
году
happened
в
in
церкви
83 in the Church of Scientology that made you go? Why did you leave?
Что предшествовало именно этому?
What was just before that?
This is a young man, a very nice-looking young man, I might add, with a beautiful forest-like background.
Misha.
Misha, hi Misha, asking me, Filedovich, whatever my name would be in Ruski, why I left the Church of Scientology.
What-
Is that right?
What happened just before you left?
And the year was not 83, it was actually, I'd say 79, 80. Well, I wanted to leave, so I did. Tatiana wants to audit me by finding out, well, what happened before I left?
No, that's his question. What
Well, I'll
happened
tell
just
you,
before that?
Misha, what happened was Scientology, the church, and Ron too, because we're now talking 20 years after I could be friends with him, 1963, now it's 1983, but it got so serious that I would have more freedom standing on the corner of a street anywhere in California or the United States and saying, I think the President of the United States is a foolish, stupid guy. That night when I went home, the secret police would not arrest me. I would not lose my citizenship and end up in the Siberia, the old Siberia. I would not become part of the Gulag of the United States. There wasn't one. I had freedom of speech. However, if I opened my mouth and said something about the church, or Ron, or Scientology, the way it was being practiced, or what was going on, that was in any way not like everything is wonderful, if I expressed an opinion, I would be in terrible trouble, and I would probably be declared and expelled as a suppressive person, and I couldn't talk to my family or friends or anything more to do with anything if I simply exercised my right to freedom of speech. Now, everyone that's lived in Russia historically knows what it's like to have freedom of speech, freedom of the press denied. If you didn't believe in the workers' paradise, watch out. You could end up in the Gulag. You could end up in a psychiatric institute being brainwashed until you came out of it like, yes, everything under dictator Stalin. So it became Dictator Hubbard. Freedom of speech was out. Freedom of opinion, freedom to write. In other words, all the things that were guaranteed by the original statement of the church, all of its ideas were void. From now on, keep your mouth shut, make knowledge reports about anything and anyone, and don't get in trouble and don't speak freely. That's why I left. I could get very excited and worked up about that because that's something that should never have happened, in my opinion, in the organization of Scientology, and it shouldn't have happened to Ron, that he would become an absolute dictator with terrible power to punish and scare and frighten and suppress people. So when it got to that point, that's it. Sayonara. Goodbye. Enough. I'm no longer a member of the church, but that doesn't mean that I'm no longer a Scientologist and a Dianeticist. I'll always be that. Not 24 hours a day. Sometimes I like some vodka and to laugh and be silly and, all those things. Because I'm also a human being. Okay? So I wanted to be a human being, and I wanted the right to have freedom of speech, freedom of association. Nobody tells me who I can talk to or I can't talk to. No, that's only a dictatorship. So, okay, in a nutshell, I'm the nut and that's the shell. That's why I left. At least that's what I tell myself. And I'm telling you, Misha, and thank you for asking.
Okay.
Enough?
Okay. Yeah. As you
Onward.
События. Спасибо.
You're welcome.
Еще раз, да?
Вот Фил.
Фил, скажи, пожалуйста, а есть ли смысл планировать нам нашу деятельность на несколько жизней вперед, и что для этого нужно, чтобы наше дело продвигалось, независимо от того, как мы делаем?
She says, "Hi, Phil. My question is that tell us, please, is it worth to plan ahead for the future beyond the life, for the next lifetimes? And what do we do to make sure that the thing we go, our continues, goes on, doesn't?" So she's trying to. Did you get the question? Is it worth even try to plan ahead for the next future coming lifetime of own? And if yes, then how do we go about it? What do we do?
Okay. Do we have a name for this lovely
Carry on,
person?
lady. No, she didn't say the name.
Okay, this is a question from, well, because I'm getting to be old, I say a young lady, and she, from what Tanya tells me, that's Tatiana, diminutive Tanya, she wants to know if it's possible to plan for a lifetime after the current one. In other words, to do things that would benefit the possibility of a future lifetime.
In the different bodies, like your
With a
continuation.
different body, as though you could be reborn in another body in another lifetime. And is there something you can do to help that?
Yeah.
To make it more possible? Well, you know, that's an idea that's very old in the history of the world, and you find it very much in the Hindu religion, which has in it something called reincarnation, which is the idea that you live, you have a lifetime, the body dies, but you go on, what you are goes on, you get another body and you live again and you live again. And if you start to purify yourself, meaning you don't do a lot of things that are considered bad or unpleasant or evil, after a while you get to the point where you don't have to keep returning to live another lifetime, to suffer, to go all through all the things, life and death. You actually can reach the point where you get off this cosmic wheel of birth and death and birth and death, which can be, according to the Hindu religion, endless. It's up to you, though, to take stock of yourself as a being and do those things that, in a sense, make it possible for you to become free of causing harm and being harmed. Call it the overt motivator sequence. And reach the point where you are not desiring anymore to do things and to have things done to you. At such a point, you can merge with the big, whatever it is. Instead of going on as an individual, you become part of that from which individuals come. In Scientology, we call it the static, and the static can put forth zillions of individual viewpoints. But if all those viewpoints are withdrawn, and I'm only speaking in theory now, then what you have left is the source of it all, which in Scientology is called the static. Now, I would not presume to be able to tell another person what they could do or not do regarding the possibility of another incarnation or another lifetime. I don't have that information in a way that I can say, well, I know for a fact that after you die, if you'll report to the nearest hospital and grab a baby body, you can live again. For all I know, when you die, you might not want to have another body for the next 10,000 years. Maybe you want to give being a human being a break and take a vacation from it and do or not do something else. Doesn't matter. I'm assuming now that the possibility of each of us as a being could continue, but I can't prove that to be true, so I'm not trying to sound like I know it's true. But if it is true, I'm not sure I could absolutely or even suggest what you might do to improve future lifetimes. That's a knowingness and an understanding that must come from you. And I know that auditing and training and reading the books and all these things could give you some excellent ideas about how you might plan for another lifetime. You might be surprised and find out there isn't another one. But if that's the case, you won't know about it anyway. And if it is the case, I wish you well in the future. Thank you for asking.
Фил, у меня такой вопрос, стоит ли распространять саентологию с помощью всяких чудес, с помощью способностей, которые обычные люди считают запредельными.
Stop it.
Например,
He's asking, Phil, I have a very special question for you. What do you think about the dissemination of Scientology? Shall we disseminate? Would it be right way, or would it be convenient to disseminate with miracles by demonstrating some miracles that Scientology can? And then he didn't finish.
Do what? What do you want me to do?
To click it again so he finished the question.
Yeah, and more.
And then he gives examples like of miracles, like for example, creating the matter, or угадывание. It's like when you tell before something was said and you just ahead. There is a verb.
Precognition.
Predict. With predicting things,
Yeah.
or like those kind of miracles. And what do you think? Is it convenient to use them in disseminating? Or if not, then why? And if yes, then why?
Who is this? Did he say? No?
No, they go straight to the question. They say, hello, Phil, and go ahead with the question.
Okay. We have another question from a young man. Again, he's got a beautiful background. There's trees and it looks very nice. Anyway, he wants to talk about dissemination, which is another word for getting the word out, letting people know about Dianetics and Scientology, making sure it's presented to them in a way that will interest them. And there are many, many tools of dissemination. They range from just giving a person a book, for example, about Dianetics or Scientology, or talking with someone in an easygoing way and telling them that if they have a problem or something, there may be something that would help them. Or you can make a big splash. You can advertise in newspapers and magazines. But the idea of disseminating through the idea of miracles or special things like being able to read minds, or know or predict the future, or make a piece of a feather move by just looking at it and saying, move, don't blow on it, just make it move by sheer mind power. Now, there are certain people in the world that are interested in that kind of phenomena. They want to know all about past lives and ghosts and spiritual things and astral bodies and projections and miracles. And you'll find in psychic societies all around the world, if you were disseminating to those people in particular, you could bring these up and say that a lot of those things often happen for some people when they are experiencing the processing of Scientology in particular. But I wouldn't make that my general way of disseminating, talking about miracles and things. I would make it simply that Scientology or Dianetics are, we'll take Dianetics as a great way to find out what does Dianetics do. Well, if you've got body problems, mental problems, things that are emotionally, mentally, and physically disturbing to you that aren't answered by medicine or doctors or doing different things, well, Dianetics can probably free you from a lot of that. And most people would be like, yes, I want to get some of that right now. Say, well, all right, here's a book about it. It's called The Original Thesis. Take a read at it. You'll see that it presents an idea about the human mind that may make sense to you, and you can get some Dianetic auditing. Or, if a person wants to know a lot about, say they want to be able to communicate better, so you can disseminate by talking about the communications course. I mean, you can take any aspect, Scientology and Dianetics, and broadcast it to people. Present it in a way that's easy to understand and doesn't have to be about miracles. You try this out, you'll be able to confront and communicate with people better. We have this little course. It may cost you very few rubles, but afterward you'll be able to look at someone and speak easily with them, to listen, to understand, really learn how to communicate. That alone will improve your life enormously, and that's easy to sell, easy to disseminate. Get the idea? Books, communication courses, lectures, learn how to do touch assists. All this stuff can be disseminated and communicated. You should pick the people or groups that you're talking to and talk about something that will be real to them. Get it? If you talk to a certain group about miracles, they're going to think you're nuts. On the other hand, if you talk to that group about being able to communicate better, they're going to be like, yes! Okay? You have the idea? If you don't, Tatiana will tell you the rest. She knows it. She's a great disseminator. All right? Thank you.
Okay.